Welcome into the Rowdy Studios, where today we have the quote edition Big Three. My name is Bassmasters. That's Buzz Cutler. And you, sir, have the quotes, I do believe.
I do have the quotes. We're going to start with a guy I like to call Jeff Burton.
That's what he calls himself, I hear.
Exactly. Let's listen to what Jeff had to say.
I'm in the sport because my father gave me an opportunity. I'm still here 20-some years later because I had the ability and I had the drive. But I got here because I had help along the way. And that doesn't make me a bad guy. Daddy's money can get you here, but Daddy's money won't keep you here. And nobody else's money will either.
So, of course, that in reference to the criticism that Paul Menard has received in the past, that, well, it was only his daddy's money that got him his ride. And to which I say, well, duh. I mean, honestly, anything you get in life is a product of good fortune in the sense that, well, I was lucky to be born in this country, or I was lucky to be born in this family, or born into this area. And race car driving is no different. Most people don't get a chance to drive a race car. So if you even just get that chance, you've been very fortunate.
And nobody is saying that Paul Menard doesn't understand that or isn't grateful for the opportunity he's gotten. I mean, my parents paid for me to go to college. I had a lot of friends whose parents weren't able to do that. I feel very fortunate that my parents were able to pay my tuition. Does that mean that anything that came as a result of me having a college degree is
tainted? Right.
Tainted because my parents paid my tuition? That's ridiculous.
I think it is ridiculous. And honestly, you know, it's fair is where you get funnel cake, as the late, great David Poole once said to me. It's not the opportunities you get, it's what you do with the ones you have.
And Paul Menard grew up racing in short tracks throughout Wisconsin.
Right.
It's not like one day he just said, Daddy, I want to be a race car driver. And John Menard said, okay, son.
Well, maybe it was like that, but
yeah, he was like 6 at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
All right, quote number 2.
Quote number 2 is from young Jamie McMurray, last year's big winner, won 3 races, 3 very auspicious races last season. This season...
Well, apparently they weren't auspicious because they didn't do much this year.
Well, exactly. Let's listen to what Jamie McMurray has to say about the rest of this season.
Yeah, I mean, I've already not really written this season off, but for the most part I have. I mean, I'm looking at next year, and there's a lot of racing left, and I still think that we'll be able to contend to win a race. We just have to hit on the right stuff.
Well, Diogenes can stop looking, and because no, he's honest. Yeah. You have to look to next season if you're Jamie McMurray. If you're not going to make the chase, you have to look to next season. You have to try things. We've seen guys do this in the chase in the past, and it's led to good things the next year. Now, that's not to say you're not going to find something that might work this year, but I think your tolerance for risk in terms of how you build the cars, what setups you put in them, what you do on the racetrack as a driver, that tolerance for risk goes up if you're Jamie McMurray because you're not going to make the chase.
But race fans don't want to hear their athletes say, yeah, we're kind of done for this season. We don't really have much hope.
Well, whether you say it or not, it's true.
But race fans and sports fans don't want to hear their athletes talk like that. They don't. They want to hear them say, we're still in this, we're still going to fight the good fight. Now, I appreciate Jamie's honesty.
Well, look, listen, here's the other thing. If you're a fan of this race team or any driver or any team, the one mistake that teams make sometimes is to think that they're just on the verge of doing something special when they're not. And they commit a lot of resources to right now at the expense of the future, when their best chance to be successful is to say get young players in and get them ready for the future because you're not going to win right now. That's the position that the one team is in. Their best chance for success is to get ready for next year. To throw resources into this year is a waste.
And in terms of that, really the only people that they have to satisfy in terms of that long-term strategy are themselves and Bass Pro Shops. If Bass Pro Shops, I would be, I might, if I was Bass Pro Shops, I might say, well, wait a minute, let's put a little bit of energy into this year.
Well, if you're a fan of this team, ask yourself this question. Would you rather be really bad right now and really good later, or just mediocre for a long time? And I think the answer is the former.
The first one.
Good for you. Quote number 3.
Quote number 3 is from Paul Menard himself, talking about the style of racing that we've been treated to of late.
Anytime fuel mileage comes into play, there's guys that are going to run out, the guys that are probably going to win the race. And it's just Sprint Cup Series is just so competitive. It's so hard to pass. Everybody runs so close together. It's a lot of strategy, a lot of clean air, and you're going to see it happen, next few races.
Well, we've certainly seen it. Strategy, fuel mileage, those things have become real dominant in this year's NASCAR racing.
You and I both said, I think, that before the Indianapolis race. Don't be surprised if it comes down to fuel mileage. It's not like we had some great insight. I mean, it was a pretty easy call to make. It's going to be a pretty easy call to make at Pocono as well, and for several races. We haven't been on a downforce track in a while. I don't have any reason to believe that some of these downforce tracks coming up won't come down to fuel mileage.
I think Michigan's a good chance for a fuel mileage race, too. And here's the thing about Pocono and Indy that you have to remember, and I think they said it on the broadcast during the race. They said, boy, this looks like a lot like road course pit strategy. Well, the reason is because you can come in and to have a pit stop under green and come back out and not lose a lap. Now, at that point, when track position is so important, you might pit when you get to your window immediately, whether or not the caution's out or not. Right? So I think we're going to see that again at Pocono. It's 2.5 miles long. You can pit under green without going a lap down. When you hit your window for the end of the race, I think you need to pit.
Hell, at Pocono, you can change your shocks without going up.
Well, now, let's not get carried away.
Didn't Dale Jr.
Under caution. Under caution. All right.
Still, I mean, it's just testament to the length of that track.
Strategy is going to be big, and when we get in the chase and we get on these 1.5 mile downforce tracks, track position is going to be huge, and how you get it's going to be big, and a lot of that's on the crew chief.
This is the new style of NASCAR racing. You may say I hate it, but it's what you have. It's what we're going to have for the rest of this season, unless Goodyear starts doing something drastically different.
Right.
And I don't see that coming. Perhaps in 2012 they'll rethink this tire. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I think 2013 with the new race car is probably where we're going to see more of a dramatic shift.
People that we've talked to have said, I wouldn't expect too dramatic of a shift.
It might not be.
With the new 2013 body.
We'll have to see what happens, but look for fuel mileage and pit strategy, especially at Pocono
And beyond.
on Sunday. All right, that's our look at the quotes from this week, the Quote Edition Big Three. For Buzz Cutler, I'm Bess Masters.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.